magical numbers, or so some folks think. We have with us today Elizabeth Summers, Esoteric Numerologer and Medium. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're so colorful. I don't mean just in the way you're dressed, I mean you are a colorful person.
I am. It's all about energy, and it's my personality, so I'm a happy person.
So fun. Well, you also have a radio show too.
I do.
So it's fun to have you on TV, but it's the magical world of numbers. Okay, so esoteric numerology. Oh, what is that exactly?
That sounds very highfalutin, doesn't
it?
I know.
Esoteric.
It's my specialty, though. Numerology is as old as astrology, where numbers are used as codes of information. Numbers have no power. What we write on paper are numerals that represents quantities, 6 of this, 7 of that. Numbers that we call numbers, and every culture has its own glyphs and its codes, represent qualities of you as a person, personality-wise, attitude-wise, gift-wise, stumbling block-wise, and my work is very ancient. It's 5,000 years old, 2,600 years old. And the esoteric part is my specialty, where I combine numbers 1 through 78. I combine information based on astrology, the ancient tarot, information that is all found in your birth name and your month, day, and year of birth.
Okay, now this is interesting. Tell me how do you take a name and make it into numbers that would tell you these kinds of things, Elizabeth?
Well, every soul prior to birth telepathically goes to the soul of the person who eventually names it as human and says, this is the name that I want. Because when I say that name is a sound, that sound is a vibration, an energy, an issue that I'm decoding. And so therefore, one day mom says, I like the name of blah, 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 right? And each one of those names tells me a physical part of you, an emotional part of you, a spiritual part of you. And so I take the ancient codes, one is 2,600 years old, another is 5,000 years old, and I apply the numbers 1 through 9, 1 through 8, to each one of those letters. And then there are formulas. They look like simple algebraic formulas that I start plugging in information, getting totals, and those totals speak volumes to me. And that's the esoteric part. And so I'm able to tell people all about them.
Well, I find this fascinating. And again, it seems so improbable, if you will. But then I was thinking last night about Einstein, Pythagoras, all this, and they use math, which is numbers, codes, and
that's right,
to explain things that are esoteric, if you will.
Abstracts.
Very abstract. How the universe works, time, space, light, everything, and I do not comprehend that. But they claim it works as well.
Well, it works. It works for my clients. I'm here to tell you, because we are puzzles, and this work pulls together all the pieces of a puzzle. Who are you emotionally? What are you here to learn? What are you supposed to do with all of this lifetime? There are karma codes, I call them the 4 nasties, that do show up in a chart that explains a lot of major issues that keep coming up and coming up and coming up. So if I'm able to tell that person about that I found in their birth name, their month, day, and year of birth, the light bulbs go off. Oh, I get it now. I get it now.
Makes sense what's happening.
It makes sense, see?
Sure.
So we're bringing in a lot of issues and memories in our subconscious from previous incarnations that are bubbling up. They're there, and they're bubbling up in our face, and this time around, and we're trying to figure out, what is it all about, Alfie?
Isn't that the truth?
I know.
Elizabeth, how'd you get started with this? How long have you been doing these numerology readings?
Oh, 1988. Through a whole series of investigations, I studied ancient tarot interpretations, then I studied astrology, and then I stumbled into numerology. That's why I combine it all. I did those formulas, and I could not believe how accurate the information was. How Holy mackerel. Yeah, this is true. So all my clients, I almost never meet. My work is all done on the phone. It's national, it's international. When I do it all, I don't do anything on a computer. Everything is done by hand, because when I'm doing the 4 pages of that chart, they come off the page like a hologram. So to answer your question, since 1988, I've been doing this work, love it, and it's all that I do.
You're going to be doing some readings. We'll mention this at La Quinta here in Prescott, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
this weekend.
Yes, so people can go and see for themselves if this kind of things, you know, if it works. I find it utterly fascinating. So tell me a little more specifically, what do the numbers, because I know there are different numbers like life path and different things that, you know, what exactly does a reading tell? What puzzle pieces does that supply for people?
Well, you know, it kind of depends. There's 2 major readings. One is called like a blueprint reading, a natal reading. And in that reading, I can help them understand what is their major issue that they're here to learn, their life path. It's like a plot line in a novel. When I add all the vowels together of a birth name, that's the starting point. That tells me who you are emotionally, what you need. All the consonants tell me how other people see you, how other people see you. Then I pull all that together, and in that particular reading, I'm able to tell you, all right, these are my tools that are found in my birth name. What am I supposed to do with it? And then there's a final category that starts kicking in the mid-40s and intensifies. It has all these technical names, but I call it what you're here to be when you grow big. And that gives people insight for their older years as to the journey that their soul's taking.
Wow. Well, I tell you, I don't think there's a lot of people who don't at least wonder, you know, who am I, where am I going, what's, you know,
that's exactly right.
What's before, what's beyond kind of thing. So this is interesting. Well, when we come back, we need to take a break, Elizabeth. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the experiences that you've had, people, and I'm going to tell people a little bit about my name. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Elizabeth Summers, Esoteric Numerologer and Medium. Elizabeth Summers, Esoteric Numerologer and Medium and radio star. This is the most fascinating. You have to be very interested in people to be able to do this, I think. So you've given obviously thousands and thousands of readings.
I have, thousands
over the years since like 1988. Tell me, give me a little examples of some stories that were really stood out as being like, bam, it made a difference in someone's life. It really, you know, lit up the path. Whatever. What have you seen?
Well, for instance, I had a gal who I did a reading for, and the letter N, when it appears in the middle name, is one of the karma codes, one of the 4 nasties that has to do with abuse. It has to do with a lack of self-worth, self-valuing that was dished out in previous lifetimes, has come back emotionally to in your face, how do you like that? And just to make different choices. You know, people get all fussy about karma. Karma is just, I see it, the blessing of God that says, oh, here's another shot. You know, make a different choice. And so she came to me after 4 husbands, and they were all abusive, and didn't understand what was wrong with me. And when I did her work and I explained it to her and what she needed to now do not to repeat that, her life took off like Big Bird, and she's now president of a major corporation.
How fabulous.
Yes.
So things really changed. Okay, so if your name doesn't have good connotations numerology-wise, how about just change your name?
Well, the birth name influences your whole life all the time. When a woman, or if you change your name or add this, that's called an angle of development, and it can do good things and amp up. Numbers just represent energy. That's all they represent. Issues, energy that I decode like a language. In fact, it's called neurolinguistics. And so when you change your name, you can put in energetically better information as a total, or sometimes it can be very deteriorating. I've had many women who are getting divorces come to me and say, you know, I'm thinking about going back to my original name, and I do the numbers on their
probably
married
good
name.
idea.
And sometimes I say to them, no, this is not bad for you to continue to use. And sometimes I say, run.
Get your name back.
Get your name back, because this one was a problem.
So is Elizabeth Summers, is that your birth name?
It's not.
So did you change yours for better numerological advantage?
No, it was married name.
Oh, so you changed your energy too. Okay, well, I have to say this is interesting because my name, Sandy Moss, I was born Sandra, but it just never felt right. I officially changed it to Sandy. But the interesting thing is I have run into people through the years, because I've been in newspaper, radio, television. There's a Sandy Moss in San Francisco who is on the radio, big time radio in San Francisco. There is a Sandy Moss in San Diego who is on television, big time. There's even a Sandy Moss in Phoenix who's an artist, which is sort of the same type of expression, as I understand it, of the number. And I thought that was utterly fascinating.
Well, that whole name adds to the 3. And the number 3 is about the voice. And it's about self-expression and about creativity. So as you are putting that name out to the universe experientially, that sound of that vibration and issue is coming back to you, so that makes perfect sense.
Well, I think it's interesting, and I still don't know why people just wouldn't change their name if they want a certain outcome. It's like if they want to do have a certain goal, they should just put in some power numbers, I guess.
Well,
just in case.
Yeah, just in case. But your most important, many numerologists say, not necessarily Elizabeth Summers, that when you add your month, day, and year of birth together, which is what is on the internet.
You're not changing that.
You know, you're not changing that. That is your plot line for this lifetime.
Sure. That makes more sense to me that you're not
and
gonna...
career, it helps you pick your careers.
Well, see, so there's so many things. Well, a very, very interesting thing. People, I'm sure, are going to enjoy getting numerology readings from you.
By phone. That's
there
exactly
you
right.
go,
all
over the world. Elizabeth Summers, Esoteric Numerologer and Medium, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Fascinating and colorful. Don't go away. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back on Morning Scramble.